I never thought calling a furnace repair guy on a freezing February morning would lead me to discover my brother had been living like a prisoner in my basement for 4 years. Let me tell you how a busted heater changed everything I thought I knew about my life. My name is Benjamin Carter, and I'm 57 years old. Most folks call me Ben. I spent 30 years in construction, worked my way up from laborer to foreman, and did my time in the Gulf War back in '91. Been married to Michelle for 32 years, raised 2 kids who moved out to Seattle and Denver. We live in a nice ranch house in Duluth, Minnesota, nothing fancy but solid construction. I should know. I built half the additions myself over the years. It was a Tuesday morning in February 2023 when my whole world cracked wide open like a foundation hit by frost. The temperature had dropped to -35 overnight, and our furnace decided that was the perfect time to quit working. Michelle had left 3 days earlier to visit our daughter Jen in Seattle, helping with the new baby. I was alone in the house watching the Vikings highlights on my laptop when I noticed the heat wasn't kicking on. The basement felt like a meat locker. I checked the furnace myself first, old habits from construction. The pilot light was out, but when I tried to relight it, nothing. The whole ignition system looked shot. At my age, I don't mess around with gas lines anymore. Too many ways that can go sideways, and I'd seen enough accidents on job sites to know better. I called Northland Heating around 9 a.m. The dispatcher said they could get someone out by noon. A young guy named Kevin Rodriguez showed up right on time, driving a beat-up service van with Minnesota plates covered in road salt. "Mr. Carter, I'm here about your furnace," he said, stomping snow off his boots at the front door. Kid looked like he was freezing his tail off. Thank God. "Getting cold fast in here," I told him, leading him toward the basement stairs. "Furnace room is straight back past the storage area. Can't miss it." Kevin headed down with his toolbox while I went back to my coffee and the morning news. The Vikings were looking at draft picks, and I was trying to figure out if we had any shot at making the playoffs next year, when my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Mr. Carter, this is Kevin, the technician. Can you come down here? There's something you need to see." I frowned at the screen. Why wouldn't he just holler up the stairs like any normal person? I texted back, "What's wrong?" "Furnace beyond repair." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then appeared again like he was trying to figure out how to say something. Finally, "It's not about the furnace. There's a door down here behind your storage shelves. It's got 4 different locks on it from the outside. Did you know about this?" I stared at my phone like it was speaking Chinese. A door? I'd lived in this house for 28 years. I knew every board, every joint, every corner. I'd crawled through every inch of that basement when we had the plumbing redone in 2018. There was no door behind those shelves. There's no door down there. "You must be seeing things," I typed back. His reply came fast. "Sir, I'm looking right at it, and I can hear something inside. Like breathing, maybe. Or someone moving around. I don't know, but it's weird. You should come down." My coffee mug hit the counter harder than I intended. I took those basement stairs 2 at a time, my knees complaining about the sudden movement. Kevin was standing by the far wall where we kept metal shelving units loaded with Christmas decorations, old tax files, and Michelle's craft supplies. He'd pulled one of the units away from the wall to check the ductwork behind it. "I had to move these to trace the gas line and check for leaks," he explained, pointing at the exposed wall. That's when I saw it, and there it was. A wooden door painted the same beige as the basement walls, almost invisible unless you were looking for it. The paint job was professional, matched perfectly. But what made my blood run cold were the locks. 4 heavy-duty padlocks running down the outside of the door, evenly spaced like someone had measured and marked them. All of them engaged, all of them looking new despite the old-style design. "I've never seen this before in my life," I said, my voice barely a whisper. In 30 years of construction, I know good work when I see it. This wasn't some weekend DIY project. This was professional-grade carpentry, done by someone who knew what they were doing. "You didn't install it?" Kevin asked, looking genuinely spooked now. "No, we've never done any renovations back here." I stepped closer, my hand shaking as I reached for the door. The wood was solid oak, expensive stuff. Then I heard it too, a faint sound from the other side, like someone shifting weight, like floorboards creaking under footsteps. "Hello?" I called out, my voice cracking. "Is someone there?" Dead silence, but it was the kind of silence that felt like someone holding their breath, waiting. Like when you're playing hide and seek as a kid, and you know someone's behind the door even though they're not making a sound. Kevin pulled out his phone. "Mr. Carter, I think we should call the police right now. Wait, I said, though I wasn't sure why. My mind was racing like a blueprint machine trying to process too much information at once. Who could possibly be behind that door? How long had this been here? My mind was trying to process the logistics like I was looking at construction blueprints. Someone had built this room, installed professional-grade locks, painted it to match. This wasn't a weekend project. This was planned, measured, executed with precision. Then it hit me like a sledgehammer to the chest, Michelle. Michelle had been the one who organized all the storage down here. Michelle had always insisted I didn't need to mess with the Christmas stuff or her craft supplies, said she had everything arranged just the way she liked it. Michelle knew this basement better than I did, had spent hours down here over the years while I was upstairs watching TV or working in the garage. The realization felt like stepping on a rotten board. Suddenly, everything you thought was solid gives way beneath you. Let me call my wife first, I said, pulling out my phone with hands that felt like they belonged to someone else. Kevin looked uncertain, shifting his weight from foot to foot. Sir, if there's someone locked in there and they need help, give me 1 minute. Just 1 minute. I dialed Michelle's number, my finger trembling as I hit the contact. It rang 4 times before she picked up, and I could hear the cheerful chaos of a house with a baby in the background. Ben, is everything okay? She sounded completely normal, relaxed even. I could hear Jen talking to someone about feeding schedules and Michelle laughing at something. Michelle, there's a door in our basement behind the storage shelves. It's got 4 locks on it. Do you know anything about this? The line went completely silent. Not just quiet, dead silent. The baby stopped crying, the background conversation stopped. Even the sound of normal household activity just stopped. Michelle, you there? When she spoke again, her voice had changed completely. Gone was the warm, grandmotherly tone. What came through the phone was cold as January concrete, hard as rebar. Don't open that door. My stomach dropped through the basement floor. Those 4 words told me everything I needed to know and nothing I wanted to hear. Michelle, what the hell is going on? Who's in there? I said, don't open it, she snapped, and I'd never heard her use that tone in 32 years of marriage. Just wait until I get home. We can talk about this when I get home. Talk about what, Michelle? There's someone locked in our basement. How long has this been here? Another long pause. I could hear her breathing, calculating. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely audible, like she was telling me someone had died 4 years. I thought I might throw up right there on my own basement floor. 4 years, 4 goddamn years. While I'd been living upstairs, sleeping in my own bed, watching TV, eating dinner, someone had been locked in a room 20 feet below me for 4 years. Who is it? Michelle? Who's down there? Ben, please. Just trust me on this. Don't open that door. I'm booking a flight right now. I'll be home tonight. We can handle this together. Handle this? Handle what? I was trying to process what she was saying, but it was like trying to read blueprints in a foreign language. Handle what? Michelle, I'm calling the police right now. No, the word exploded out of her with a force that made me pull the phone away from my ear. If you call the police, you'll regret it, Ben. I'm begging you, wait for me. The line went dead. She'd hung up on me. In 32 years of marriage, Michelle had never hung up on me. Not during our worst fights, not when money was tight and we were both stressed, not even when I'd come home 3 sheets to the wind after my buddy's funeral and said things I shouldn't have. I stood there staring at my phone, trying to make sense of what had just happened. Kevin was watching me with wide eyes, probably wondering if he'd stumbled into some kind of domestic dispute that was way above his pay grade. Mr. Carter, he said quietly. We need to call the police, right now. I nodded, my hands shaking so badly I could barely dial 911. When the dispatcher answered, I tried to explain the situation, but how do you tell someone you've found a locked room in your own house that your wife apparently knows about, but you don't? 911. What's your emergency? There's a door in my basement. Someone might be locked inside. I didn't know it was there. Sir, can you repeat that? Did you say someone is locked in your basement? Yes? No, I don't know. There's a door with locks on it and I can hear sounds inside, but I've never seen this door before in my life. The dispatcher was professional but clearly confused. She asked for my address, confirmed that I was the homeowner, asked if I was in immediate danger. 2 squad cars were dispatched, estimated arrival time 15 minutes. Kevin and I stood there in the basement, staring at that door like it might explode. Every few minutes, we'd hear a small sound from the other side, a creak, a shuffle, something that confirmed there was definitely someone in there. How long you been living here? Kevin asked, probably trying to fill the uncomfortable silence. 28 years. Bought the place right after I got out of the service. I was studying the construction of the door frame, the way it had been fitted into the wall. Professional work. No gaps, no rough edges. Whoever built this knew what they were doing, and you really never knew about this. I shook my head. I work construction. Worked it for 30 years. I know buildings. I know how they're put together. This, I gestured at the door. This is invisible unless you move that shelving unit. It's camouflaged. The basement suddenly felt smaller, like the walls were closing in. Everything I thought I knew about my own house, my own life, was shifting underneath me like loose foundation stones. Your wife, Kevin, said carefully. She seemed to know about it. That was the understatement of the century. Michelle didn't just know about it, she'd been protecting it for 4 years. 2 police cruisers arrived within 15 minutes. Their red and blue lights cutting through the gray February morning. Officers Stephen Davis and Brian Wilson introduced themselves at my front door, both of them looking like they'd rather be dealing with a fender bender than whatever this was turning into. Mr. Carter, we understand you found something unusual in your basement. Officer Davis was the older of the two, probably mid-40s, with the kind of steady demeanor that comes from seeing everything twice. I led them downstairs, Kevin trailing behind with his toolbox still in hand. When they saw the door and those 4 padlocks, both officers exchanged the kind of look that says this just became a lot more serious than a welfare check. Officer Wilson examined the locks while Davis started taking notes. Mr. Carter, you're certain you've never seen this door before today? Positive. I've been down here hundreds of times. We store holiday decorations, old files, Michelle's craft stuff. I helped my neighbor move his water heater last month and came down here to grab some tools. This door was completely hidden behind that shelving unit. And your wife's reaction when you called her? I told them about the phone call, Michelle's cold tone, her demand that I not open the door, the 4-year timeline she'd mentioned. Both officers took detailed notes, asking me to repeat certain parts. Where is your wife now? Wilson asked, Seattle, visiting our daughter. But she said she's booking a flight back. Davis walked the perimeter of the room, examining the construction. This is professional work. Whoever built this knew what they were doing. The ventilation, the soundproofing, the way it's integrated into the existing structure. That's when we all heard it clearly, a sound from behind the door that was definitely human. A cough, followed by what sounded like someone standing up. Police. Can you hear us in there? Davis called out. Silence for a moment, then a voice, muffled but audible. Help! The word hit me like a physical blow. Someone was definitely in there, and they were asking for help. In my own basement, under my own roof, while I'd been living my life completely unaware. Sir, we need the keys to these locks immediately, Davis said, turning to me with a new urgency. I don't have them. I swear to God, I don't have them. I didn't even know this existed until Kevin found it an hour ago. Your wife would have the keys. I guess so. She's the only one who could know about this. Wilson was already on his radio calling for backup and what sounded like additional units. We're going to need bolt cutters and possibly a battering ram. Unknown person confined behind locked door. Homeowner claims no knowledge. Davis turned to Kevin. Son, I need you to stick around to give a statement, but right now I need you to go upstairs while we handle this. Kevin nodded and headed up, probably relieved to get away from whatever this was becoming. The backup arrived quickly, 2 more patrol cars and a sergeant who looked like he'd been roused from desk duty. They brought heavy-duty bolt cutters and crowbars from their trunk. Mr. Carter, the sergeant said, I need you to understand that once we open this door, this becomes a potential crime scene. You may not be able to access your house for several days, depending on what we find. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. Crime scene. My house was becoming a crime scene. It took them nearly 30 minutes to cut through all 4 locks. These weren't cheap hardware store padlocks. They were heavy-duty security locks, the kind you'd use on storage units or commercial properties. Each one took serious effort to cut, and the officers were sweating despite the cold basement air. Last lock, Wilson announced, and I felt my knees go weak. When the final lock fell away with a metallic clang, Davis looked at me. Mr. Carter, I strongly recommend you let us enter first. No, I said, surprising myself with the firmness in my voice. This is my house. I need to see. He studied my face for a moment, then nodded. Stay directly behind me. Davis pushed the door open slowly, his flashlight cutting through the darkness inside. The smell hit us immediately, not unpleasant, exactly, but stale air mixed with something else. Human habitation, someone had been living in there. The flashlight revealed a small room, maybe 8 by 10 feet. There was a narrow cot against one wall with military-style blankets folded neatly at the foot. A small folding table held stacks of books and notebooks. A battery-powered lantern sat on an improvised shelf. In the corner was a bucket with a tight-fitting lid that I didn't want to think about too hard. And sitting on the edge of the cot, blinking in the sudden light like some kind of cave creature, was my brother Rick. Rick? His name came out as barely a whisper. My brother Rick, who I'd been told had died in a construction accident 4 years ago. My brother Rick, who Michelle and I had mourned together, whose funeral we'd attended, whose closed casket I'd stood beside while a pastor said words about eternal rest. He looked terrible. His hair, which had been brown with just a touch of gray, was now completely silver white. He'd lost at least 40 pounds from his already lean frame. His skin had the pale, translucent quality of someone who hasn't seen sunlight in years. But it was definitely him. Same crooked nose from when we were kids, and he'd fallen off his bike. Same scar on his chin from a workshop accident when he was 20. "Ben," he said, his voice rough from disuse. "You found me. I think I made some kind of sound, not quite a word, not quite a cry." Davis caught my arm as I swayed, probably thinking I was about to collapse. Maybe I was. The officers immediately called for paramedics. Rick was clearly in no condition to be questioned extensively, but he was conscious and responsive. As we waited for the ambulance, I knelt beside the cot, staring at my brother who I'd buried 4 years ago. "Rick, how are you here? We had a funeral." There was a casket. He looked at me with eyes that seemed decades older than they should have been. "Empty casket, Ben. Michelle arranged everything." The paramedics arrived and immediately started checking Rick's vital signs. Severe dehydration, malnutrition, vitamin D deficiency, muscle atrophy, the list went on. But he was alive, somehow impossibly alive after 4 years in that basement room. At the hospital, once they'd stabilized him and gotten some fluids running through his system, Rick told us the whole story. Detective Davis sat beside his bed, taking notes while I tried to process what I was hearing. 4 years ago, Rick had been going through a messy divorce and had made some terrible investment decisions, lost most of his savings trying to flip houses during a market downturn. He came to Michelle and me asking for help, a loan to get him back on his feet and maybe avoid bankruptcy. I'd been working a job in Fargo that week, a commercial project that required me to be on site for 7 straight days. Michelle was alone when Rick showed up at our door. She invited me in. Rick said, his voice still weak but getting stronger as the IV fluids worked. Said you and her had talked about it, and she wanted to discuss the terms of a loan. Made me tea while we talked about numbers. That was the last thing he remembered clearly before waking up in that basement room. According to Rick, Michelle had come down the first day and explained everything through the locked door. She told him he was a burden, that he'd always been a burden on our family, that I spent too much time and money bailing him out of problems. She said she was protecting our marriage, our retirement, our future from my own generous heart that couldn't say no to family. She'd told him that she'd already reported him missing, that everyone thought he'd run away to escape his debts and his ex-wife, that after enough time passed he'd be declared legally dead and everyone would move on, including me. Michelle brought him food once a day, usually early morning before I woke up or when I was already at work. She'd installed that ventilation system connected to what looked like a dryer vent from the outside. She gave him books to read, notebooks to write in, recharged that battery lamp regularly. She even managed his waste, emptying that bucket daily. "But why didn't you make noise?" I asked, gripping the hospital bed rail. "Why didn't you scream for help?" "I was right there, Rick. Right upstairs." His hands trembled as he looked at me. "She said she'd kill you if I made any sound. She'd show me news articles on her phone. Stories about middle-aged men having sudden heart attacks, construction accidents, household poisonings. She said it would be so easy to slip something into your morning coffee. She promised that as long as I stayed quiet and patient, you'd live a long, happy life." The police arrested Michelle at Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport when her flight from Seattle landed. She didn't deny anything, didn't even ask for a lawyer initially. According to Detective Davis, she seemed almost relieved that it was over. During questioning, she laid out the whole plan. She'd been researching Rick's imprisonment for months before he ever came asking for help. She'd found contractors to build that room while I was on the Fargo job, paying them cash and telling them it was going to be a wine storage area. She'd studied soundproofing techniques online, researched ventilation systems, even joined forums about home security to learn about locks and containment. When they asked her why, her answer was chilling in its simplicity. Rick was always the weak link in Ben's life. Even when they were children, Ben was constantly rescuing him, covering for him, lending him money. I built a stable, secure life with Ben. Rick threatened that stability. I eliminated the threat. The trial took 8 months. Media attention was intense. Basement brother case dominated local news for weeks. Michelle was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison for unlawful confinement, aggravated assault, fraud, and a dozen other charges. Her defense attorney tried to argue mental illness, but the premeditation was too extensive, too calculated. Rick spent 3 months recovering in the hospital and a rehabilitation facility. The physical damage was severe but treatable. The psychological trauma was harder to quantify: nightmares, panic attacks in enclosed spaces, difficulty trusting anyone. But he had something that kept him going through it all. He'd saved my life by staying silent. I sold the house in Duluth within 6 months. Couldn't stand being in that building, knowing what had happened 20 feet below where I'd been watching TV, eating dinner, living my oblivious life. Used the proceeds to buy a smaller place near Rick's apartment in Minneapolis. It's been 3 years since that February morning when Kevin Rodriguez found that door. Rick lives 10 minutes away now. He's gained back most of the weight he lost. His hair stayed gray. I think some changes can't be undone. He's writing a book about his experience working with a therapist who specializes in trauma recovery. We have dinner every Sunday without fail. Sometimes we talk about what happened, but mostly we discuss normal things. The weather, sports, his writing progress, my grandchildren. The kinds of conversations brothers should have been having all along. I divorced Michelle, though it felt redundant given her incarceration. She writes me letters from federal prison that I don't open. Her lawyer says she wants to explain herself, wants me to understand her reasoning. But what explanation could justify 4 years of torture? People ask how I lived in that house for 4 years without knowing my brother was imprisoned in my basement. The answer is trust. I trusted my wife completely, blindly, without verification. She managed our household, our schedules, our routines. Why would I question where she went in the mornings or why she rearranged storage areas? Trust is supposed to be the foundation of marriage. But Michelle weaponized that trust, used it to commit the perfect crime right under my nose. The worst part was watching her performance at Rick's fake funeral, seeing her comfort me while I grieved for a brother who was locked in our basement. Listen, if you're a man my age, you understand the comfort of routine, of trusting your partner to handle their domain while you handle yours. But here's what I learned the hard way. Trust needs verification. Pay attention to changes in patterns. Ask questions about things that seem off. Your gut knows when something's wrong, even when your mind wants to ignore it. The people closest to us have the power to destroy us because we give them access to our lives, our homes, our blind spots. Most people would never abuse that access. But some do, and when they do, the damage is catastrophic because they know exactly where we're vulnerable. Don't become paranoid, but don't be willfully blind either. Trust but verify. Pay attention to the foundation of your life, not just the surface. Because sometimes the greatest dangers come from the places we feel safest, from the people who hold keys to doors we never knew existed.